Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another podcast episode. My name is Libby.
And my name's Aya, and this is the Dancing Devis podcast.
And today we're going to be deep diving into a really fun, cool topic, which both of us love to talk about and love to deep dive into, dreams.
We're entering the dream world with you today, and we have a lot to share because we both are very vivid dreamers, and we have a lot of symbolic dreams and powerful dreams, and we wrote down a list of a lot of different topics that we want to jump into today, such as lucid dreaming, prophetic dreams, sleep paralysis, astral projection, all the different realms of dreams. All the
things, yes. We'll talk about all of the different types of dreams, and then we wrote down a couple questions and key topics that we'll just kind of go down the list and give a little story time or say our thoughts on it, and hopefully at the end of this we can learn a little bit more about the mysterious land of dreams.
And we'll ask ourselves if we're awake in a dream right now. Okay, so let's start. First things first. Maybe we can talk about practices that we use to enhance our dream worlds.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'll go first. I think something I've used a lot that's really helped me is herbs. And you can look into it, and there's a lot of herbs that are said to enhance dreams, but a couple of the really common ones are blue lotus and mugwort, which you can smoke or drink as a tea or as a tincture. And these herbs before bed are said to enhance your dreams. And personally, I do feel like they work for me, and a lot of friends that I have that have really dived into lucid dreaming and astral projection really swear by these herbs as well. Yeah,
I've dabbled in mugwort and have had it in tea with like lavender and other chamomile and other sleepy time type of herbs. And I do have memories of it sparking little vivid moments within my dreams. I don't think that I sat with that long enough to really see results, but I do feel like if that is something that's in your practice, and enjoying a nice cup of tea before bed is really relaxing anyways. And so that's definitely something I want to revisit at some point.
I think it might be something that has to be more of a practice over time than just like a one-time thing. And there are also a lot of different things that impact our dreaming as well. Like one thing that we've talked about that we both really noticed in our life is that if we're smoking a lot of herb, like Santa Maria, no dreams
blank
through.
Nothing. It's like
months without dreams that I've had whenever I'm really sitting with that a lot.
Partaking.
And then it's funny, I've noticed that once you stop, like if you take a break or just stop, the dreams come back like really intensely the first week or two, like slap you in the face.
They really do. And it's like boom, 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 here's all these messages that you've been blocking from, receiving. And while we're on the topic of just talking about different techniques that can help us enhance our dreams and help us really tune in with those dreams, I think that a lot of the times people want it to be an easy, quick, I'm going to do this meditation before bed and it's going to make me lucid dream. And I know I've been there before because as a child, I would lucid dream all the time. I had extremely vivid dreams. I was astral projecting. I was flying in my dreams, and I was doing all this really, really cool stuff. And as I got older and, life gets busy and we're just changing so much, I kind of lost touch of that. But my dream world is always something that is so fascinating to me and something that I love when I'm in tune with, because the messages that will come through in my dreams are always, prophetic at times, and extremely symbolic, and I pull so many messages from them. And so, yeah, I've had moments where I want to tune back into that again, and I'll pull up a sleep meditation lucid dream on YouTube and, you know, be like, oh, tonight's the night I'm gonna do it, and then, you know, forget about that or don't even dream at all. And that can be kind of frustrating on your dream journey.
Especially if you were a lucid dreamer as a child, because I was the same way. I remember whenever I was younger, I was always lucid dreaming. I was also always having sleep paralysis, which I'm glad isn't happening as often anymore. But then as an adult, I've only lucid dreamed a couple times. But there are things that we can do to get that back. I have a friend that went really deep into the lucid dreaming journey. And one thing that he would do, because a way that you enter a lucid dream is by noticing that something isn't quite right in your dream, and it kind of brings you awareness because you're like, that's not right. Like for instance, in my last lucid dream, I was looking at the hotel room key for my hotel that I was in, and like the number like started going off the key and like turning into all these letters and things, and like and I was like, that's not right. And then all of a sudden I was lucid. So one practice that you can do to make it more likely to notice that things aren't right is like looking at your hands.
That's a big one.
Multiple times a day, like really intentionally, because then if you make it a normal practice in your day-to-day life where you're always looking at your hands, it's bound to happen in a dream soon enough, and then you'll look at your hands and you'll realize that they don't look quite right. And that's something I've heard a lot. And same with like looking in the mirror.
Oh, looking in mirrors in dreams can be very kind of eerie when you become lucid, because that has happened to me before, where I was in a dream and I passed a mirror and I stopped and came back and saw myself, and something was not quite right about my face in that dream. I was like, ooh, all right, I'm dreaming. And then from there went into my adventure. But maybe we could talk about the different types of dreams, just so we can kind of discuss what each type of dream is, and then whenever we are referencing them, we'll have a little bit of backstory of just like the different types of dreams we'll be talking about today. So lucid dreaming is obviously one, and that is where you become conscious in your dream. So before you're unconscious, you're moving along in your dream, and then something sparks your consciousness for whatever reason. Maybe you look at your hands, or something just doesn't feel quite right, and then you, boop, there you go. Now you are aware that you are in a dream. And in that state, you have a lot more control over what happens in your dream, what you can do in your dream.
If you really go into it, sometimes you can like fully control your dream and do things like fly or
and I used to talk to all the time as a kid. Yes, and talking to dream characters. This is something that I was really deep diving into dreams. Like I said, this is something that's always really fascinated me. And I had stumbled upon this podcast a couple years ago, and this girl was talking about how she has these incredibly vivid, lucid dreams every single night. Like this is just a part of her normal life. And she talks to her dream characters all the time. And she's got reoccurring dream characters. So there are certain dream characters that you're meant to talk to in your dream that kind of present themselves as part of your plot or part of your storyline. And whenever you're moving through your dream and you're supposed to advance or go on a quest of some sort, then you've got your background characters. Those guys, you're not meant to really talk to. They don't like to be noticed, and they don't like to be acknowledged. And they actually will kind of get uncomfortable or sometimes angry with you if you acknowledge their presence. And after I learned about this, I was like, oh my God, I have to talk to one of these characters. Like next time I'm lucid, I am doing this. And sure enough, I've gotten to talk to some dream characters a couple times that I remember there was one time I was like moving through a house party of some sort where there were tons of people in this house. And as I was moving through, I had become lucid at some point and knew I was in a dream and was able to refer back to that knowledge that I gained, like, ooh, let me just play around and talk to someone real quick. And I pulled one of my dream characters aside and I told her, this is a dream right now. Like, you're not real. And oh, they do not like when you say that they're not real. She was like, she literally got in my face, like so close, was like this far from my face, yelling at me and telling me, I am real, like, I don't know what you're talking about. And I literally almost got into a fight with one of my dream characters and I had to run away.
Well, maybe she was real to herself.
I mean, to herself. But it was almost like this panicky, like, I'm real, like, girl, keep moving, like, you're not supposed to look
like,
at me.
Don't acknowledge.
Don't be acknowledging me. I don't know, it was very interesting and also kind of like freaky, and so...
Lucid dreams are kind of freaky sometimes.
They are, and another one, just while I'm on this tangent, I was walking by another group. I was like on a path, and there was a group of people who were all crouched down, kind of like sitting, talking with one another. And again, I became lucid for whatever reason and went over, approached them, and put my hand on one of the characters' shoulders. And when she turned around to look at me, her face was insane. It was like these huge eyes and this like really little mouth, and like she was like looking into my soul, and it freaked me out so much. It woke me up from that. So I haven't really talked to dream characters since then, but it's fun.
I haven't really experimented with that I remember. But that makes me curious to dive more into that.
You should try it.
I haven't lucid dreamed much as an adult. It's like all like very faint childhood memories, but I have a lot of symbolic dreams.
And vivid dreams,
and
yes.
a lot of vivid dreams, and I have had a couple prophetic dreams, so we can move on with the types of dreams.
Right, so that was lucid.
That was lucid
We just
dreaming.
went on a little tangent, but that's okay.
There's also symbolic dreams.
Symbolic dreams, yes.
Symbolic dreams, it's kind of like your subconscious speaking to you through your dreams, symbols that are related to what you're experiencing in your life, or it could even be spirit guides coming through, animal guides coming through symbolically in your dreams.
Animals are huge in symbolic dreams.
Yeah, I feel like animals are like the main theme.
Even plants can be symbolic. Maybe you dream of a big, beautiful tree. Places, settings can be symbolic. Maybe your childhood home.
Relationships. And these are the ones that I feel dream interpretation is really focused on.
It's very abstract a lot of the time. It's not necessarily straightforward in what the message is. And when you wake up, you can sense, okay, that was important, and I felt there was a deeper meaning there, but it often is something that you have to kind of decode in your conscious waking hours, or just wait and see how your dream world kind of unfolds, because sometimes the message becomes more clear through other dreams that you have that kind of piece all of the pieces of the puzzle together. A symbolic dream that I have a lot, which is also a recurring dream for me, is I dream of pulling my teeth out, or having dreams where my teeth are falling out. And this is actually something I think I inherited from my mother.
Whoa.
Because
that's interesting.
I know she has dreams like this all the time, and she worries a lot, and I worry a lot too. And you know,
it's like
I think it's an anxiety dream and worry dream, and yeah, it's Oh, and then another topic I think would be really cool for us to talk about is when we're visited by our ancestors, our spirits, our angels.
Oh,
These are
that's really powerful symbolic dreams.
extremely potent
I have a symbolic dream like that. I could tell a quick story
Please
about.
tell.
This was actually like one of the most powerful, life-changing dreams that I've ever had.
Ooh.
And it was right after I first started sitting in grandfather ceremonies, and I was realizing that my most serious relationship that I was ever in was coming to a close at that time. And this dream gave me the push that I needed to end that relationship, which is interesting that like that inner strength and motivation to do that could come from a dream. But in this dream, I was on a mountainside and my entire extended friends and family was there, and I arrived and they told me that it was my wedding. And at first I was really resistant to that. Like I was like, I don't even know this man. I don't want to get married to the man I don't even know. Like, what? And then the man in question arrives and I see him and I instantly fall so deeply in love with him and run up to him and hug him and I'm like, let's get married. And a lot of other things happen in this dream, but it ends up coming to a point where my grandma comes up to me and she's like, someone really special is here for your wedding. And I'm like, who? And she said, Jesus Christ. And I look, and in the front row of the wedding, like, all the seating, he's sitting, Jesus Christ.
Jesus in the flesh.
Jesus Christ. She was like, he walked all the way from Jerusalem to be here.
My
And he was sitting in the very front row playing the harmonium. Ooh. Which was very symbolic and interesting to me, dressed in all white, just so peacefully, not looking at anyone really, just like smiling, playing with the harmonium with his eyes closed.
What an honor.
And he was there for the duration of that dream, but that definitely felt like a powerful like visitation and a powerful message.
Oh my goodness.
To receive.
Absolutely. I mean, when you have any sort of
ascended master,
an ascended master such as Jesus Christ, or I mean, any ascended master come visit you in a dream, that is such a potent message from the universe.
So powerful.
That he like that energy is like communicating directly to you, and that is like probably the most highest form of symbolism that could.
The entire day following that dream, I was beaming with love, and I literally called my entire family and I was like, Jesus was in my dream. And funnily enough, my dad had been praying 2 days before for his children to have dreams of Jesus.
Whoa.
But he definitely wanted that in a more Christian sense. He came to me in his own way playing the harmonium, which it makes a lot of sense.
Which is beautiful because we can form our own relationships with these ascended masters in our own way. Yes. Did we talk about recurring dreams, vivid dreams?
You mentioned recurring dreams.
Yes.
So that's pretty self-explanatory. A dream that comes back, and that obviously has a message for you.
Yes.
If you're having a dream come to you over and over again.
Referring back to our childhood, I would have dreams that were recurring dreams, and it was almost like a TV show series where I would fall asleep, have this dream, it'd be so cool, so exciting. I would wake up and then just be so excited to go to bed the next day because
you could go back into it.
I could go right back into it and pick up where the story.
Able to do that.
As children, we're just so open, and we're just so open to receiving. We're like little sponges, and all this information is coming in. And I think as you go into adulthood, we do tend to put up walls and close ourselves off, and it almost becomes scary. Like I remember I've had lucid dreams before where, you know, I'll be flying in my dream, and I love to fly in my dreams. And sometimes I'll feel a little bit nervous to do that, or a little nervous to let go. Whereas whenever I was a child, there was no care in the world about that. But
so another type of dream that I don't think we've really dived into is vivid dreams.
Oh yes.
Which is basically a normal dream, except you're much more involved, and the story feels very real, and it's very memorable. Whenever you come out of your dream, it really can stick with you. Vivid dreams.
These are the dreams where you are thinking about it all day, or you wake up in the morning and you might even think, oh my gosh, was that real? Like, did that actually just happen to me? They can be extremely realistic. Sometimes they don't even have to be realistic necessarily, but they can feel very real to you in your experience. And the emotions you feel are very real. The conversations you have, the experiences you have are very, very real, even if it is just a dream at the end of the day. And these aren't ones that you're necessarily conscious in either. It's almost like you're just walking through your life, you know, because most of the time in our day-to-day lives, we are only conscious, what's the percentage?
I don't know.
You're only conscious, like, I think,
we're like
5% of the time.
A lot of the time, especially if we like have very steady schedules.
Right. So yeah, in vivid dreams, you're not necessarily conscious you're in a dream, but you're very present in your dream, and it really sticks with you.
I feel like we have a lot of those.
Yes, and you can reflect back on them as if it's a memory.
Yes, yeah.
Which is so crazy.
Like,
to think
I feel
about.
like years and years later, I still remember them.
Oh yeah,
like,
years and years. And
like,
then,
since I was a child.
exactly.
Some of them.
Yeah.
And like sometimes they'll like randomly just like come back to me in a flash of nostalgia, and I'll be like, whoa, that happened. Like that dream happened. That was one topic I did want to dive into a little bit, is deja vu in relation to dreams.
Yes.
Because I have noticed personally with my own deja vu journey, because deja vu is something that I experience a lot in my life. And in some of the most powerful experiences of it, it feels so much like I dreamed whatever experience that I'm having, like years before. Like I'll literally be like, I dreamed this 6 years ago. And that, do you ever experience that?
I will experience moments where, and this is maybe a little bit different, but I will journal my dreams. I've gone through ebbs and flows of keeping dream journals, and whenever I'm really in that flow, there are times where I'll write down dreams, and years will go by, and I'll have an experience happen to me in real life, and then I'll go back and read my dream journal, and I'm like, wait a minute, that actually ended up happening to me.
So this leads us into our next topic, which is the most mystical and well-discussed type of dream, which is the prophetic dream.
Yes.
Which has been talked about, I feel like, since the beginning of humans recording spirituality and history.
Yes.
Like there's been so many mystical stories of prophetic dreams saving people's lives, saving like whole cities' lives. Like in the Bible, I do know that there are like multiple like prophetic dreams.
This is a direct message from source warning you, or sending a like smoke signal.
It's not necessarily has to be a warning.
Yeah.
I feel like that is usually when it's talked about is like warning that something bad is going to happen. But it can also just be dreaming an experience before it happens.
Yes.
Positive or negative.
Very true. Yeah. It's so interesting how this kind of ties back into manifestation and how our mind creates it before our reality does.
I love that.
Yeah. And that really rings true with dreams. And it's when we're in our dream world, we are whether it's conscious or unconscious, our brain is somewhere else, and we are somewhere else. We are not in this earth. We are in a place of pure creation. It's pure creative energy where anything we can imagine can be created, and it's all happening in our minds and in our brains.
Because we're awake in a dream.
We're awake in a dream. Are we even awake?
We have control. Like, we can lucid dream, and then we can create our experience.
Mm-hmm. And on that topic, there have been crazy stories of people who are Olympic athletes who will get really skilled at lucid dreaming, and let's say they're in gymnastics or something. They will dream that they do their tumbling pass perfectly. Or they'll dream, let's say they're a diver, they dream that they do the flip off the dive perfectly. And this is a really, really good skill to apply into your real life, that whenever they come, awake to practice, they're able to perform that much better because, and also with, there was a story of a pianist who had like a piano recital, and she dreamed that she perfectly completed her song, for this really important recital, and she was fully lucid in it. And then after she perfectly performed it, she realized that she was in a dream. And so there's just all of these really mysterious stories of people really being able to apply what they pick up on and what they learn from their dreams into their real lives. And we really can use this as a powerful tool in our waking lives to create whatever reality we want and desire.
That's a great point. I've had a friend personally tell me a similar experience story where she was nervous to teach a yoga class fully in Spanish, and the night before she did it, she, in her dream, practiced teaching the entire class in Spanish and then did it great the next day. So that is like a great incentive to work on our lucid dreaming, because then it's like giving you all these extra hours that you would be unconscious to be like doing this work in a sense.
Yeah.
I love that.
Oh, so interesting. Okay, we talked,
So the dark side of dreams.
Dark side, the shadow. Because it's not all flying and rainbows and Jesus playing harmoniums.
Yeah.
There
gosh.
I mean...
Sleep paralysis is a very real and a very scary experience.
I am very fortunate to where I don't really experience sleep paralysis. I have almost fallen into sleep paralysis before, but I was able to snap myself out of it. But maybe we should talk about what sleep paralysis is.
Yeah, I can talk about it more since you've
experienced it.
So sleep paralysis is, as I understand it, it is basically your body falling asleep while your mind is still awake. And this is a very interesting state, because if you can surrender to it and allow it to happen, I think that it can be a method for entering astral projection, but it can get very dark and scary. So usually, personally, I don't surrender to it, and I try and get out of it as fast as I can, because it's very common you're basically laying there, unable to move, your entire body is just tingling and locked in, but your eyes are open and your mind is awake and you're conscious, but just unable to move. And personally, I have seen, as a child, I had an experience where I saw a man in my room, or a shadow being. Luckily, nothing too scary. I have met people who have met much scarier beings than me, but even just the experience itself can be really jarring, and it can be really hard to get out of. But I found that with a lot of willpower, you can kind of yank yourself out of it really intensely, which I've gotten pretty good at. If I start catching myself going into it, I'll yank myself out of it.
And that can be a jarring sensation too, of almost a panic.
It is a panic.
It's kind of a panicky, weird feeling.
Yeah, especially it's interesting because I feel even though your mind is awake, you're almost in this space between the awake world and the asleep world, and these spirits or beings can be present in the space when it happens.
Totally.
And that is a really interesting part of it. We met we met this really interesting family whenever we were working in Colorado that were all born with the gift of mediumship in a really intense way, like all of them. And the younger boy, he was like, what was he, like maybe like 18?
I think he was 17.
17 or 18. He was opening up to us a lot, and he would have sleep paralysis and be attacked in his sleep paralysis and wake up covered in scratches and weird experiences that are like beyond anything that I've ever.
Yeah, because we had worked for this woman. She was a grandmother, and 2 of her grandsons came to work too, and they were both like high school boys. And she, the grandmother, is a medium, and sees ghosts and has had presences visit her before. And to be fair, she's had some really intense, really traumatic experiences occur in her life where she's lost really close loved ones
in really sad ways.
In really traumatic ways. Yeah. And so she was really tapped into that world and passed this gift to her grandson. And her grandson, you know, me and Aya are here in Colorado. We got our tarot decks, and we're praying and meditating and dancing, and we're we have our practices, and we have our altars, and they can see very clearly that we are really spiritual beings,
it was
to say the
so
least.
Interesting though, because he came up to us and he was like, I've never told anyone this before, and he starts spilling it all the
telling us all of these.
I could not believe
the
stories he was telling us.
I know. And he was really opening up to
He was really scared.
He was really scared,
we were, like,
and
really
confused.
just trying to do our best to give him tools to help him, because it was like he didn't know what to do with the. It can be a gift, but if you don't know how to manage it, it's much more like a curse. Yeah,
absolutely. And I gave him a card reading. It was his first time ever receiving that. He kind of was like, is this witchcraft? Like, what is this? And he was a little nervous at first, but, I just explained to him, that this is not dangerous. This is not evil. This is just a way for us to connect and tap in and tune in to our higher consciousness, and just talk to the universe and just see what messages can come through for us. And we had a really potent reading together, and I don't know where we're going with that.
Well, we're just talking about sleep paralysis.
Oh, yes, sleep paralysis, absolutely.
Mystical dream states.
Well, and I'm talking about astral projection on that note.
Let's lead into astral projection now.
Yes, because I don't think we've really talked about this. So this is different from lucid dreaming.
Mm-hmm.
This is not lucid dreaming. This is exactly what I was talking about, how when you're in that sleep paralysis, you really are in between 2 worlds. You are in a whole new plane of existence, basically. And I've astral projected before.
I have gotten halfway there a couple times, but I've always psyched myself out of it, unfortunately.
It can be nerve-wracking to do it, because you really do have to detach from your body.
Yeah.
And
it can be physically uncomfortable, I think, leaving your body.
Because you are in sleep paralysis. So I guess in a sense I have been in sleep paralysis, but I haven't ever I've never seen entities, and only once did I feel kind of that panicky feeling of like, oh, I don't want to be in this, and then I got myself out of it. But most other times when I've been in that state, I've felt calm, and I think that is kind of where you need to be.
It's a hack. You gotta be calm.
It's a hack. You gotta remain calm. And I actually just had a friend tell me, because we were talking about astral projection, and he gave the tip that whenever you're in that state of in between wake and sleep, you can tune in your ears. There's a ringing. And if you tune into that sound and you really pay attention to that sound of the ringing, it will grow and it can get louder. And this is a radio frequency that is happening in our brains. and we can tune that radio frequency, and that is the frequency of astral projecting. And so if you can really remain conscious, which it's hard to remain focused and conscious on that, but if you can do it, you just relax. And for me, the visualization of imagining a rope coming from your chest all the way to the ceiling really helps as well. And you just imagine yourself moving your arms to the rope, but you're not physically moving your arms.
Like your astral body arms.
Yeah, it's your astral body arms. And this visualization worked really, really well for me whenever I did it. And you need to try it, because you pull yourself up, and then you literally pull yourself out from the rope, and then once you're out, I turned around and I saw myself laying.
Oh, when was this?
This was a couple years ago.
Never heard this story.
It was interesting. So it was back whenever I was like a freshman in college, and
whoa.
I know.
Okay.
Me and my best friend at the time, we were getting super into astral projecting. We would be laying in bed and playing these beta waves, is what they're called, and they're these, kind of vibrations that are more at like a low frequency, and they're supposed to kind of tune you into that astral frequency. And I'm telling you, we would listen to this for like an hour before bed. Yes. And it really worked. So I remember we listened to that right before bed, and I was really tuned in. I really wanted to do it, and I was so focused on it. And then I visualized the rope, and it happened. I pulled myself out of my body, but the catch was I wasn't in the bed that I was originally laying in, and I didn't realize that at the time. I was laying in my bed in the house that I grew up in my entire life.
So then at that point, is it a dream?
I don't know. It was because it still felt like an astral dream.
Still did it.
Because I did it. I pulled myself out of my body, and I looked back and I saw myself, but I was in a completely different place. And so I floated my body lucidly, down the hallway of my old childhood home into my parents' bedroom, and I saw both of them in the room, and I remember my mom was like sitting at the foot of the bed. I think she was like putting her shoes on or something. And I had a tennis ball, and I threw the tennis ball across the room, and it bounced, and both of them looked at it and saw the ball. And then I like floated out of there and kind of floated outside. And then from there, I lost consciousness. I lost the lucidity, and then it just like continued on like a normal dream.
I wonder if you were like visiting your past, like you like went to your past self and came out, and like back whenever you lived in that house. I don't know.
Yeah, I think so too. It felt like they were getting ready for work in the mornings, because I remember every single morning we would get up so early. We would, get up like 6:30 a.m., 6 a.m. or whatever to get ready for school. And they would always be in their bedroom with the news on and getting ready. And so it felt like a very nostalgic memory. So yeah, that's something that I'm not sure about. I don't know if like with astral projection, I'm sure you can travel timelines. I mean, there doesn't seem to be any bounds.
Possible.
Yeah.
Anything is possible.
So true.
Yeah. Whoa, such an interesting experience.
Yeah, it was so interesting.
There's been twice where I've nearly astral projected. The most recently was actually only like 6 months ago. I was like really deep in a meditation with like an eye mask on, and like so deep in a meditation. And the next thing I knew, my astral legs were fully floating up out of my regular legs. And I was like, I became aware of it, and they were like floating up above the bed. But whenever I became aware of it, I like thought that I stopped it from continuing to happen. Like I was stuck at the hips. Like I couldn't get the upper half of my body out. And then I was like really like focusing really hard in my mind, trying to get the rest of me out. But I felt like I tried too hard, and then I ruined it. And then for like 15 minutes, I was just like laying there with like my astral legs floating out of my legs, like just I couldn't get any farther.
That's awesome.
And there was another time where I was like really, really trying to astral project, and I was also deep into meditation. I was listening to an astral projection, like meditation of some sort, and I entered this vibration state, which I've heard people talk about, which is like one of the steps. Like whenever your astral body is separating from your physical body, it can feel like a really intense vibratory state. Like it felt like all of my cells were like shaking, and
A super energetic separation.
it was super intense to the point where I like had to cut it off. Like I was like, this is too much right now.
Yeah. But it can be a very intense bodily emotional sensation. And so astral projection is something to be patient with on your journey. It's not something that I think comes easily, and you might be able to do it once and then not do it again for years.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things that I think requires patience and also trust and a lot of mental, it's like a mental game.
Yeah, I feel like I've created a lot of internal fear around it because I've had my astral body ripped out of my physical body before.
What was that?
Through like really powerful psychedelics. And it was so intense and like jarring that I think now I like kind of have this like fear reaction anytime it starts happening. Because
that makes sense.
I've been like ripped out before.
And that is not a comfortable feeling at all. That's like that's like the rug being ripped under you, and
it's
almost
blast
like
off.
a blast off, like ego death all at once. Like you're just
it wasn't a full ego death because I was literally in a different dimension. Like, how do I get back to my body?
So it wasn't an ego death, or
it wasn't because I knew that I had a body to get back to.
Oh, interesting.
So I don't think it was a full disillusionment.
That's true.
Yeah, because I definitely remember being like, where the heck is my body and how do I get back to
Your
it?
astral body was just
I was like, am I going to be here forever?
And that is a fear, a very real fear for astral projecting is people don't want to let go because they get scared they're not going to be able to come back into their body. But I really don't think that we need to let go of that fear.
I don't think we need to be afraid of that. I think we'll always come back into our body.
Yeah. Eventually you'll find your way back.
Oh my gosh.
So that's like, we can talk about like chaos and storyline too, just briefly.
Yeah, chaos dreams versus storyline dreams.
I have a good mixture of both. But I think I tend to have more storyline dreams than chaos dreams. But it also just depends on where I'm at in life and what is going on. But a storyline dream is a very clear path almost, or it's like a quest dream, or there's a very chronological series of events that you are going through that you can reflect on and see the full picture. And a lot of the times it can have a climax arc, and you know, it's kind of like building up to something. Like, for example, I had a dream the other night that I had to fight off an entire girl gang of these like superhero women, and it like was so intense because I felt like there was a tension brewing where like they were getting upset at me, and then I was like, oh gosh, I'm gonna have to fight all these people off. And then I like tapped into my superpowers, and I was like, it was a crazy dream. It was a very action-packed dream. But that was an example of a storyline where even though it was chaotic, there were chaotic elements to it, it still had this cohesive kind of theme that followed through.
A chaos dream kind of feels like a fever dream where it's just like there is no plot and nothing makes sense, and it's literally just like what is going, like sometimes it can be so intense that it feels like you didn't get any sleep.
Oh gosh, yeah, I've definitely woken up from chaos dreams like I need to go back to bed. Like, what the heck was that?
It's like so like mentally stimulating and exhausting. And these like it's just like flashes. Like I feel like it's like scrolling through TikTok.
Yes.
You know, and it's like 3 seconds, 3 seconds, 3 seconds, 3 seconds.
It's like, poof, 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 poof. And it's like, this has absolutely nothing to do with this, and now you're being hit with that. And it's like, like you don't even have time to breathe.
You know, and it's so interesting when this happens because, like, I wonder what the cause of this is, if it's like caused by maybe like a lot of anxiety happening, or like a lot happening in the mind, like in this time of your life whenever you're having dreams like this.
So I found that I have chaos dreams a lot if I take like a midday nap. Do you ever have that happen where sometimes I'll take a midday nap and I will fall into the most strange, chaotic world of dream, and I wake up and I'm just like, I'm just gonna try to forget about that.
I don't know. I feel like normally I don't have nap dreams.
Okay.
But I feel like maybe if I look at my phone too much right before bed, it can trigger me having
That's a good point
a
too.
chaos dream. And I feel like that's another good point with your dream journey is maybe trying to intentionally not look at your phone right before bed if you are trying to have dreams. And
For at least like an hour.
something that's really helped us a lot with dreams, that we dived into whenever we were together in Colorado, was setting intentions before we went to bed for what we wanted to be shown in our dreams. Like,
Yes.
I would like to receive a message from my ancestors in this dream, or like an insight into my psyche in this dream. And I feel like if you set an intention before you go into the dream space, you're more likely to have dreams. And sometimes you won't always receive what you asked for, but sometimes you will receive, interestingly, what you asked for. And also doing your best to record them in some way whenever you wake up
Yes.
is a good practice, because I feel like the more that you pay attention to your dreams, the more you have them. Like, a lot of times if I've had a really cool dream, I'll instantly type it in my notes on my phone as soon as I wake up, or if it's hard to type, I'll like do a voice memo, or I'll like voice memo it to a friend.
Yup.
And then like re-listen to it later and write it down.
That's really helpful when you immediately wake up. If you don't like to write for some, that's just not your
Sometimes
thing.
it's a lot when you're like in bed.
I know. Yeah, so that is fun. And if you're doing it with a friend, I think it can be helpful because you can kind of encourage each other on your journey. And I know Aya and I have done this. We do this many times.
And we can interpret each other's dreams.
Yes, and then it really helps because you're like, this, and this happened in my dream. Please help me. Like, what does this mean?
Yeah.
And yeah, that's a great way to do dream recall. But yeah, like I said earlier, dream journaling, and recording your dream in some way, shape, or form, I think is the most foolproof way to really build that muscle and practice that dream recall so that you can have more vivid dreams, more lucid dreams, and have more control over where you go in your dreams.
I feel like now it would be fun to maybe tell a couple cool dream stories.
Okay.
I have one dream on my mind that I would like to share.
Let's hear it.
Okay, let's get into it. This is a dream that I just cannot even believe happened. Like, it feels so visionary, and it was a vivid dream. And it was a symbolic vivid dream is how I would classify this dream. But in this dream, I was in a really idyllic rainforest that was super lush and had a gorgeous crystal clear blue river, and it went to this waterfall spring that like was surrounded by rocks, and this huge gorgeous waterfall flowing into it, and it was like the perfect scene that you could imagine, like so like jewel tone green plants, super blue water. And in the dream I am swimming in the river, and I start seeing these huge shadows coming up to me, and I'm like, oh my gosh, something's coming. So I swim over to the edge of the river, and I climb, like I start rock climbing on the edge, climbing out and looking back down. And I look down to see a mother, father, and baby, like humpback or blue whale. Ooh. I couldn't tell if it was a humpback whale or a blue whale. Maybe a humpback whale, swimming up the river. And I'm just like standing there watching them in amazement, these whales. And then they come up right in front of the waterfall, and they all, at the exact same moment, all jump out. Like, I can still picture it now. It's like the male and then the female and then like the baby in between them, like literally like a painting, like, and I was just watching like, wow. And then they come back down and they start swimming back downstream, and the mother whale swims up to me face to face and looks right at me. And her heart chakra is glowing super bright green. And she starts telepathically communicating with me. And I can't remember the exact words that she said, but it was something along the lines of, I too had to release expectation before I could allow myself to choose. And then she like touched the tip of her face to my heart chakra, and my heart chakra glowed green. And then I had this like inner knowing that I had chosen to be a whale in my next life.
Oh my God.
That's like what I like in my dream. That's what happened.
When did you dream that?
Like not even a year ago. Like maybe 6 months ago.
Oh my God.
I know. It was seriously one of the coolest dreams I've ever had. I was like, whoa. I've always felt so connected to the ocean and to the whales too. Like as a child, I was really obsessed with marine biology. And I've always had a special connection with the ocean. But I mean, whales are super wise, extremely wise, powerful creatures.
Oh yeah.
It felt like a very symbolic dream. I want to paint that scene one day.
You need to paint that.
I want to, but I feel like I don't have the skills quite yet to convey the beauty. But it's in my, I one day would like to.
It's in your mind's eye.
Oh yeah, I have it on my list of paintings.
Oh my gosh. That is so beautiful. Wow. I'm like trying to think about a dream that I've Oh my gosh. That's incredible. I love when our spirit animals visit us like that, because that is, especially when it's a high animal, a highly intelligent animal, such as, you know, a whale or an owl, or these animals that I would almost classify as like ascended masters of the animal world, or they just hold these
highly conscious
gifts within themselves that they just hold such a deep, profound, beautiful wisdom. And while we are extremely smart as a race of humans, you know, human species, and we've made so much progress, I feel like there are so many animals walking and swimming amongst us that hold such profound knowledge that we haven't even begun to tap into. And I think whales are some of those animals.
Yeah.
And there was some crazy news that I heard of like a couple months ago of how we just started communicating with whales.
What?
Yeah. And we communicated with a whale and had a conversation with a whale for the first time ever. And this is going to help us talk to extraterrestrial life.
Wait, what? What did the whale say?
I don't know. I need to look into this.
What the heck?
This might have been clickbait. So let's not fact check me on this.
I have been thinking about whales a lot recently, actually, because they can swim across the entire ocean.
Oh yeah.
And like to like a perfect, like they can perfectly find a place they want to go to in the ocean, and like how widespread the ocean is. From they can like read the electromagnetic pulses of the earth, and that's how they can communicate like over so many miles with each other. And I think that's just like so incredible how
so incredible. And how each pod has a different song, and they sing to each other.
Songs.
They have their family songs, and they've got their babies, and they've got their elders, and they, you know, take care of their family, and they teach each other, and they're mammals just like we are. They nurse their babies, and so it runs so deep that oh my gosh. I've actually had a whale dream too.
Really?
Before. Whenever I was a child, in my childhood house, we had a pool, And it had a shallow end that got deeper. It went down to like 11 feet. And as a child, I was always in my pool. I loved to swim. But yeah, I had a dream that I was in my pool and I was in the shallow end and walked into the deep end and was swimming. And then as I went into the deep end, I was then in the ocean, and a whale swam around me and circled me, and his eye passed right past my face, and I was just looking into the eye of this whale.
Whoa. That's a pretty cool dream.
It was a really cool dream, and that one has stuck with me, and marine life is so beautiful.
I love animal dreams.
I love animal dreams too.
I had another symbolic animal dream about 2 years ago where I was like running through a forest, and like a wolf was chasing me, and then it jumped on me and pinned me down against this rock and was just like in my face, like growling at me. And it felt like a needed dream at the time. Like I wasn't even, like I felt like glad that the wolf was putting me in my place. In a way, whenever I woke up, I was like, yep, I deserved that.
Yeah, you needed that. She was telling you, girl, you need to tap in, or
wild woman.
Yeah, wild woman energy.
It felt like wild.
She's like, don't forget about me.
Yeah.
Don't forget about your wild spirit. Ooh, maybe we could have an episode about the wild woman.
Oh my gosh. That goes so deep. There's so many different things.
I know, there's so many things to talk about, even as we're like talking about dreams, and I'm getting so hyped like talking about this, and we still haven't even scratched the surface of everything on our list, and I think it's already been an hour that we've been talking.
Oh, it has been an hour. Well, we can probably wrap up this episode and save these other topics for future episodes, because there will be a lot more, and I feel like we gave a really great overview of different types of dreams and like how to like do practices to assist in our dreaming, and also told personal stories of our dreams. So yeah, thank you so much for listening to the end.
Yes.
We would love to hear about your thoughts on everything that we said. Is there anything that resonated with you or anything that you disagree with? Feel free to leave in the comments a story about your favorite dream, or a dream that had a special impact on you, and any other questions that you'd like to ask for us to answer in future episodes.
Yes.
Again, my name is Aya.
And I'm Libby, and this is such a fun topic for both of us. There definitely will be a part 2, so stay tuned for that. And in that part 2, if you want to ask us questions, we already have some questions prepared of things we want to talk about and deep dive into of all of these different dream topics that we've discussed today. But yeah, thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for your support. And we are just so excited to be able to talk to you about these fun topics. So
this is the Dancing Devis podcast, and you can find us on Spotify, YouTube, or Instagram.
Sending you love wherever you are, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.